Okay, we can start now. Okay. So the topic for the class today is, did Krishna return to Vrindavan after going to Mathura and then finally settling in Dwarka? And we'll be reading from verse number 1.11.9, first canto 11 chapter and 9th verse. Let me share the screen. Okay. Okay, so reading from first canto 11th chapter, verse number 9. Yari ambujaksha pasasara bho bhavana kurun madhun vatasu riddadvikshaya tatrabdakoti pratima shano bhaveda ravim vinakshar ivanastvaya chitta. Synonyms. Yari, whenever ambuja aksh, O lotus-eyed one, apa sa sara, you go away, Bho, O, Bhavan, yourself, Kurun, the descendants of King Kuru, Madhun, the inhabitants of Mathura, Vrajbhumi, Va, either, Atha, therefore, Surit, Didikshaya, for meeting them, Tatra, at that time, Abda Koti, millions of years, Pratima, like Shana, moments, Bhavat, becomes Ravim, the sun, Vina, without, Akshno, of the eyes, Iva, like that, na ours, tava, your, Achutya, O infallible one. Translation. O lotus-eyed Lord, whenever you go away to Mathura, Vrindavan, or Hastinapur to meet your friends and relatives, every moment of your absence seems like millions of years. O infallible one, at that time our eyes become useless, as if bereft of sun. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We are all proud of our material senses for making experiments to determine the existence of God. But we forget that our senses are not absolute by themselves. They can only act under certain conditions. For example, our eyes. As long as the sunshine is there, our eyes are useful to a certain extent. But in the absence of sunshine, the eyes are useless. Lord Shri Krishna, being the primary Lord, the Supreme Truth, is compared to the sun. Without him, all our knowledge is either false or partial. The opposite of the sun is the darkness, and similarly, the opposite of Krishna is Maya or illusion. The devotees of the Lord can see everything in true perspective due to the light disseminated by Lord Krishna. By the grace of Lord, the pure devotee cannot be in the darkness of ignorance. Therefore, it is necessary that we must always be in the sight of Lord Krishna, so that we can see both ourselves and the Lord with his different energies. As we cannot see anything in the absence of the sun, so also we cannot see anything, including our own self, without the factual presence of the Lord. Without him, all our knowledge is covered by illusion. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjalashalakaya Chakshudum Yena Tasmai Shri Guruvaya Namah. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so thank you all the devotees for giving me opportunity again, once in a month session. And this time we are going to do something special. We are going to discuss about Krishna's return to Vrindavan. And so this is a very important verse. It's also a hidden verse in the Bhagavatam. And Actually, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is talking about the importance of being in light, and that light is coming from Krishna. But in the case of devotees, I think it is very important that we should be in connection with the light of the devotees, not with Krishna, because Krishna, he may manifest himself, but we'll not be able to understand him properly. So we can only know, understand, and we can see the Lord through the eyes of devotion. There is no other way to see the Lord. And the problem is that even though the Lord has manifested scriptures, but the scriptures, they are, to a great extent, there are a lot of there is a lot of contradiction in the scriptures. So it is very difficult to ascertain the real true nature of the Lord. And that's why many of the people are bewildered by the pastimes of Krishna. So it is not so difficult to understand about Lord Ram, pastimes of Lord Ram or Lord Narasimha, Varaha, all these different avatars of the Lord. And also not so difficult to understand about the master-servant relationship between Vishnu and his devotees. But with Krishna, it is like very difficult, very tough. Even being devotees, also being practicing devotees, it is not so easy to understand his personality. So this is one of the examples, because Krishna promised to the Vrajavasis, he also promised to Uddhava, and he promised to Nand Maharaj that he is going to return back to Vrindavan. But we never see that happening. And it's not described in the Bhagavatam also. So is it really not described? That we'll see now. But it's there in the form of hidden mystery. And only our acharyas, great acharyas, they have revealed this to us. So it is very important for all of us to see through the eyes of the acharyas. Without that, it is not possible to understand. In fact, even if you consider the translations, just the translations of the slokas, okay, verse to verse, word to word translation, that itself is not so easy to understand, because so there may be a dictionary. You can, probably it is easier to translate the word using a dictionary. You catch a word and then you check the dictionary, and then you will get the translation of the meaning of that word. But it is not like that exactly, because Sanskrit has a lot of it has got meaning of layers of meanings. A lot of hidden layers are there beneath the slokas. So those are only revealed ultimately by the acharyas. In fact, dictionary also derive its meaning from the help of the translation of the acharyas. So although we have this Merriam-Webster dictionary, and they are also deriving the meaning of the Sanskrit words with the help of the insights of the acharyas, those who have commented very frequently on those words which are repeating in their text. So that's how they derive the meaning of that particular Sanskrit shloka, right? So without the help of acharyas, it is not possible to understand the scripture. And that's why it is very rightly stated in the Upanishad also that Yasadeva Parabhakti Yathadeva Tatha Guru. Unless and until we have implicit faith. Okay, I just got a message from Satish Prabhu, and I forgot his initiated name. He's saying that he can only hear music. Are you all able to hear what I'm saying?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So yeah, maybe Prabhuji can check. All right, yeah. So everyone is able to hear. Okay. So that's why the acharyas, they're so important to us. And not just about giving the real meaning of the verse and the right understanding of the particular scripture, but also providing a lot of insights, and not just sentimentally, but by quoting a lot of scriptures. So the acharyas and the goswamis, they are seeing the pastimes of the Lord face to face, right? Because they are already Nityasiddhas. So they can claim that, well, this is what I'm seeing, and I don't have to actually back up my vision. I don't have to back up my realization. What I'm saying is directly I'm experiencing the Lord. So, but what they do is they consistently back up their points, their views with scriptures. And this is what we have to also do, following in their footsteps. So Shastra is the Praman for us. The foremost Praman is the Shastra. And that is so important for all the devotees. Because there are 10 different types of Pramans. Although there are three Pramans: Shastra, Praman, Shabda Praman, Anuman, and Pratyaksha. And then the remaining 7 are just the expansions of Anuman and Pratyaksha. But in essence, there are 3 Pramans. So Shastra Praman is the most important for us because it is directly confirmed by the that's the only way to know the Lord. Scripture is the only way to know the Lord. There is no other way to know the Lord. And this is also a question that I've covered in my book, which I have written. So without the help of Shastra, you cannot understand Krishna. And in order to understand Shastra, you require the help of Acharyas. So now you will be able to understand why I am saying, because many facts are revealed to us by the great Acharyas. And Srila Prabhupada also, in his purports, his books, his lecture, conversation, he is consistently quoting our Acharyas. Vishwanath Thakur, Sanatan Goswami, Rup Goswami, Jeev Goswami, Vallabhacharya, Sridhar Swami, So Prabhupada also does like repeatedly. Okay, so Prabhuji is saying cannot hear speech. I think everyone is able to hear. So are you able to hear now? Okay, I think he's joining back probably. All right. Okay. So now we'll be going through some verses that mentions that Krishna is eternally present in all the dhams. So see, in general, people are aware that Krishna went to Mathura and then he never returned to Vrindavan. Because that prakat pastime of Krishna going to Vrindavan is not mentioned in the scripture. Or maybe people are not aware. Okay, it is mentioned in scriptures, but somehow people are not aware of that. So let me share, because I will be going through some of the verses from the Bhagavatam, where it is mentioned that Krishna is eternally residing in Mathura and Vrindavan. Okay. So verse is 10:1-28. Okay, and this is from the 10th canto, first chapter and 28th verse. Rajdhani tatasa bhut sarva yadava bhubhujam Mathura Bhagavan yatra nityam sanihito hari. So I will not read the synonym and I will not read the purport, but I will only read the translation. Since that time, the city of Mathura had been the capital of all the kings of the Yadu dynasty. The city and district of Mathura are very intimately connected with Krishna, for Lord Krishna lives there eternally. So this Mathura is also considered to be Vrindavan, because Mathura Mandal Parikrama has the Choryasi Vraj force also, and it also includes the 12 forests of Vrindavan. So Mathura is a part of Madhuvan. Okay, so this is one of the verses in Mathura, Vrindavan. And now verse number 11th canto, 31st chapter, 24th. 11.34, 21. Eleven 31:24. Sorry. Okay. Nityam sanihitastatra Bhagavan Madhusudana Smritya Shesha Subharam Sarva Mangala Mangalam. Lord Madhusudan, the Supreme Personality of God, eternally present in Dwarka. It is the most auspicious of all auspicious places, and merely remembering it destroys all contamination. So again, See, there is a apparent contradiction in these two verses. One verse is saying that the Lord is eternally residing in Mathura. Another is saying that he is eternally residing in Dwarka. So how is it possible, right? So unless and until we understand through the eyes of the acharyas, we will not be able to understand this phenomena. Okay, so now before discussing about the eternal residence of Krishna in all these three places, which is Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwarka, we need to understand about the concept of prakat and aprakat, right? So our acharyas, they explain prakat and aprakat forms of the Lord, and the prakat and aprakat leelas of the Lord, prakat and aprakat dhamas of the Lord. Everything connected to Krishna is explained in terms of prakat and aprakat. Now, what is prakat and aprakat? So prakat means something that a sadhaka can see with his eyes when he's present in Krishna's pastimes. So let's say, for example, there are sadhakas, there are demons who have taken birth during the time when Krishna also appeared, right? So there were so many demons Krishna killed: Putana, Agasur, Satakasur, Trinivarta, so many of them, right? All these asuras. So they were able to see Krishna, and Krishna was present before them. Duryodhana also was able to see Krishna. So a sadhaka, now some of them may be nitya siddha, they are just involved in pastimes of the Lord, but some of them are sadhakas who are practicing devotees, or maybe who are demons. So they have got the opportunity to be in Krishna's pastime. So they saw the Lord indirectly. Now it is also explained by our acharyas that actually no one can see Krishna. Even a devotee cannot see Krishna without attaining the stage of prema. So unless and until a devotee is in the stage of prema, he cannot see. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochalena. So by the eyes of loving devotion, one can see the Lord. One can see the Lord directly only at the stage of prema. But if someone is at lower stage, bhava and prema, but someone is at lower stage, then they cannot see the Lord directly. And in Kali Yuga, the Lord does not appear also in physically, in front of the devotee, unless and until obviously the devotee has perfected and he has reached the level of prema. So then the devotee can enter the pastimes of the Lord. But otherwise, the Lord appears in the heart. Generally, he appears in the heart of the devotee. Right? So whoever saw the Lord, so it is called as prakat. Prakat means that everyone can see the Lord, whether it is sadhaka or nitya siddha. Nitya siddha can always see the Lord, right? We know that. But for a sadhaka, when they see the Lord with their eyes, that is called prakat pastime. So they are able to see the Lord and his pastimes in Vrindavan Bhumi. And they are also able to see Vrindavan as it is, because when Krishna appeared, the opulence of Vrindavan was exactly the same as Goloka, right? So this is called as prakat. Now, what is aprakat? So aprakat is a manifestation wherein only the nitya siddhas, they can see the Lord directly and they can engage in the pastimes of the Lord. But sadhakas, those who are not purified, they cannot see the Lord, because the Lord will kind of disappear from their vision. Okay. I hope this is clear. Prakat and aprakat. It's a very important concept. Now, what we are seeing currently, that is called Drishyaman. So again, it's a form of a, you can say, combination of prakat and aprakat, because Drishyaman is something that we are actually able to perceive with the material eyes. Now, we as practicing devotees, sadhakas, we also cannot perceive the direct presence of the holy dham. Like, for example, we go to Vrindavan, then we are seeing Yamuna, we are seeing Govardhan, but we are seeing that which is the remnant of the original Govardhan and Yamuna, and the remnant of the original dham, which was present during Krishna's pastime. Because now we are able to see it's the entire city has become so modernized, and there are so many garbages, there are so many pigs, so much dirt around, right? So all these things that we are seeing, these are all external material manifestation of the dham. Okay, in order to bewilder the demons and the atheistic type of people, or in order to, so the Lord is putting a curtain in front of us. To the degree we surrender to the Lord and the degree we serve the Lord and we attain prema, to that degree the curtain opens gradually, right? And then when we attain Prema, the curtain completely opens up. And we are able to perceive the dham as it is, which was there during Krishna's presence. So what we are seeing currently is Drishyaman dham. And aprakat is a phenomena which occurs also during the time of Krishna's presence. Now, see, what happens is when Krishna is apparently he is going to from Vrindavan to he is going to Mathura, and then later on he shifts to Dwarka. So it is also mentioned in the scripture, which is and our acharyas, they are quoting the Yamal Tantra, describing the difference between Krishna's appearance in Vrindavan and his appearance in Mathura and Dwarka. Krishna anyo yadu shambhuto ya purnaso asti atapara Vrindavanam parityajya swa kachin naiva gacchati. So this is quoted in the Yamal Tantra, and the translation is as follows: the Krishna known as Yadu Kumar is Vasudev Krishna. He is different from the Krishna who is the son of Maharaj Nanda. Yadu Kumar Krishna manifests his pastime in the cities of Mathura and Dwarka, but Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, never leaves Vrindavan at any time, as quoted in Laghu Bhagavatamrita. So see, we will try to reconcile now how Krishna is eternally present in all these three places, in Vrindavan, Mathura and Dwarka. So what happens is, when Akrura comes to take Krishna to Mathura, so that time, actually it is the Sham Sundar, the Vrindavan Krishna, who goes up till the border of Vrindavan and Mathura, which is called as Akrur Ghat. So if you go to Vraj, there is a place called Akrur Ghat. That's the place where that's a border between Mathura and Vrindavan. So that is the limit of Vraj, Vrindavan especially. So after that, what happens is the Sham Sundar form of Krishna. See, we also know that whenever Krishna appears in this world, then all the Vishnu avatars, all the different forms of the Lord, they all merge in him. Okay. So, and then we also know that Krishna's first expansion is Balram. Then from Balram comes the first Chaturvya, which is Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. And then in his Vilas form, in Vaikuntha, he is in the form of Narayan. And similarly, there is Dvitiya Chaturvya, which is again Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. So this Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha in the first in Goloka, which now Goloka consisting of Vrindavan, Mathura and Dwarka. So this Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, they exist. The Chaturvya forms of the Lord, they are only existing in Mathura and Dwarka. They do not exist in Vrindavan. Okay. So when Krishna is apparently seen to be going to Mathura, leaving Vraj behind, so at that particular time, the Shamsundar form, the original form of the Krishna, the Avatari, that form disappears to the material eyes, or disappears in the eye for the eyes of the sadhakas. So, but it becomes aprakat. Okay, it becomes aprakat. But for the Nitya Siddhas, who are Krishna's eternal associates, they can always see Krishna in Vrindavan. Okay, so that's why it is called aprakat, because it is Krishna disappears for the eyes of the sadhakas. So that form disappears, and then expansion of Krishna goes to, which is the Vasudeva expansion. That comes outside the body of Krishna, and it goes to Mathura and Dwarka. Right? So this is the form which actually goes to Mathura and Dwarka. So this is how Krishna, so Vrindavan Parityajam Padam Ekamna Gacchati. Vrindavan, Krishna never leaves one step out of Vrindavan. That's why it is called that Krishna, it is said that Krishna is always eternally present in Vrindavan because he is present in his aprakat form. Okay, so Vasudev Krishna is going to Mathura and Dwarka. Now the question is that even though it is Vasudev Krishna, but does Krishna again manifest himself in his prakat form? So that we'll discuss. Now the question is that why does Krishna leave Vrindavan? Okay, that's the main question, because we know that the top devotees of the Vrindavan devotees, they are the topmost devotees of Krishna. And Krishna loves the Vrajavasis like anything. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, because he wanted to give everyone Vraj Prem, right? He did not want to give Mathura and Dwarka Prem or Vaikuntha Prem, but he especially came to give Vraj Prem because it is composed full of Madhurya Ras. So he wanted to taste that and he wanted to give it to others also. So if this love is so strong, it is the strongest amongst any other type of love, then why did Krishna leave Vrindavan? So there are internal and external reasons. One could say that in order to fulfill his own desire, that yada yada dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, in order to establish dharma, religion, Krishna is appearing again and again, repeatedly. So in order to, because he was a Kshatriya and he was also a coward boy. So in order to fulfill his desire as Kshatriya to protect humanity, he actually became a king in Mathura and Dwarka. And he killed many demons, okay, which was not possible in Vrindavan, because Vrindavan, the mood is completely different. So in order to do that, he had to go. So what we call as karma or duty, right? So it's karma bhumi. This Mathura and Dwarka is karma bhumi, whereas Vrindavan is simply home. It is one's home, right? One is just enjoying in the dham. So like that. So this is the external reason why Krishna is actually going, in order to protect Vasudev, Devaki, and his other devotees also. In order to protect so many his devotees, he's actually living Vrindavan. So this is external reason, but the internal reason is something which is also shared by Vishwanath Thakur. He says that one time Krishna was with Radharani, and this is a pastime in Prema Sarovar. I don't know if how many of you have been to Prema Sarovar, which is in between Nandgaon and Barsana. And Prema Sarovar is the manifestation of the liquid form, the tears from the eyes of Radha and Krishna together. So that has formed a Sarovar. So in brief, I will just share the pastime. So what happened is Radharani and Krishna, they were sitting together and they were very closely sitting together to each other, and they were having intimate pastimes, and somehow honeybee, it started bothering Shrimati Radharani. So generally, so Madhubangar was also there. He was nearby, and this bee was actually disturbing Radharani, and that's why she asked Krishna to somehow drive away the bee. So then Krishna started telling Radharani. So Krishna did that, and he started telling to Radharani that I have driven Madhu from here. Okay. So because she heard the name Madhu, and Madhu is also one of the names of Krishna, then she started believing that Madhu has gone, he has left me. Although Krishna was directly in intimate contact with Srimati Radharani. Okay, they were sitting close to each other. He was present, but just by uttering his name, Radharani got in complete ecstasy and she fainted. Just by hearing that Krishna has left me. Okay, so that particular bhav is called Prem Vaichitya bhav, which is basically a form of separation in union. So even though the lovers are in union, but they will feel separation from each other. It's a very intense form of love. So then Krishna saw that kind of ecstasy of Radharani, and he was also bewildered. And then he started thinking that if Radharani is feeling so much pain in my presence, then it is better that I leave from here and I go away for a long time, so that in my absence, at least she will be able to chant my name and she will be able to remember and she will be blissful. At least she will feel my presence. But my being directly in presence with her, she is feeling pain. So that is giving me so much pain. So let me go away from here. So this is what one of the internal pastimes, internal reasons for why Krishna actually left Vrindavan. Okay. So this is stated by Srila Vishwanath Thakur. And so, we cannot really fathom this, because it's a very intense emotion. And there are, whatever Krishna does, there are always internal and external reasons. And acharyas, they are, they are rasic in nature. So they will always have some rasic nature or reasoning for each and every pastime of the Lord. So they are Rasik Acharyas, they will always see some rasa in everything that Krishna does. Okay, so that's why Krishna left Vrindavan. And obviously, one more important reason is to actually make them experience the separation from him, right? Because Vipralamba Bhav is absolutely essential in order to experience Sambhog at its highest peak. So, like, for example, if you have not met a person, your beloved for a long time, and then you plan up to meet soon, then you are most excited because you are seeing that person after a long time. Okay, so that bliss is of another level of bliss, and that can only be experienced when you have experienced sufficient time of separation from your beloved. So, in order to put them into separation, Krishna also, this is also one of the reasons. So these are the reasons why Krishna actually left Vrindavan, interdirectional reasons. Now the question is that, well, okay, Krishna went to Vrindavan, Mathura and Dwarka, that's fine. But we know that geographically also, to the material eyes, we can clearly see that Vrindavan is not so far from Mathura. In fact, all the devotees, they go up to Mathura station and then they go to Vrindavan. So Mathura to Vrindavan distance is hardly 20 minutes by drive, right? So was it not possible why the Vrajavasi did not go to Mathura to see Krishna? At least till the time he was in Mathura, I think he was like there for around 10 years or something, 10 or 11 years. So 10 years he was in Vrindavan, 10 years in Mathura, and then 100 years in Dwarka. So why did Krishna, why the Vrajavasi did not go to Mathura to see Krishna when he was in Mathura? Because it's very close. I mean, we can understand they could not have gone to Dwarka because Dwarka is very far, kind of opposite end. But why not Mathura? So the answer is also, it is very logical because there is a difference of bhava. So in Mathura and Dwarka, the devotees are exchanging Aishwarya Bhava with the Lord, master and servant relationship. That awe and reverence is there with Krishna. So, like for example, if you are in office, even though you are with your family members, but if you are all in office, then there is some kind of awe and reverence there because there is some formality, that some official thing is there, right? But in your house, you are like, free to do whatever you would like to do. So it's very nourishable, enjoyable relationship in the house. So Vrindavan is house for Krishna, and Mathura Dwarka, it is like more of a formality for him. Okay, so there is awe and reverence, and that's why if the Vrajavasis would have gone to Mathura, they could not have been able to gel with that rasa. Like for example, when they went to Kurukshetra, they could not see Krishna in his Kshatriya form. They were not able to relate to him because it is obvious when you have a family member, then you always want to connect with the Lord very intimately. But that same family member, when he becomes the prime minister of the country, right, then you meet him somewhere very officially and with awe and reverence. Then there is not much enjoyment in that particular relationship. It is very boring. It becomes very formal, right? So because they were not able to gel with that rasa, it was completely incompatible to their the way they love Krishna. It was an obstacle to their loving Krishna. That's why they did not go to Mathura and Dwarka. Okay, so this is very important. In fact, just like Krishna never leaves one step out of Vrindavan, similarly the Vrajavasis, they also never leave one step out of Vrindavan. So who went to Kurukshetra? Kurukshetra, actually, they were also the expansions of all these Vrajavasis. Okay, so Vrajavasis also, they never leave one step out of Vrindavan. Yeah, and because of this, it seems that their love for Krishna is secondary compared to their love for the dham. Right? I mean, if they really love Krishna, why they are so much attached to the dham? They can just leave the dham and they can go to visit Krishna in Mathura if they really love Krishna. So the answer is that because they are not able to relate Krishna in that the mood is not compatible. Okay, that's why in being in Vrindavan, it reminds them of Krishna more intimately than any other place in the entire universe. So in Vrindavan, they feel the presence of Krishna in his original form. Whereas in Mathura, they are confused, they are bewildered, and they are unable to share their sentiments and feelings to the Lord because he has taken Aishwarya Bhav. Right? So that's why the Vrajavasis, they are also always eternally present in Vrindavan, and it seems that they are attached to the dham more. But their attachment to the dham is also connected to ultimately the avatari form of Krishna. So, just like for example, in the pastime of Damodar Leela, so when Mother Yashoda was churning the milk, and it was apparently it was it seemed that she had more attachment to the milk rather than to Krishna. But the Acharyas explained that because that milk was also for the pleasure of Krishna, that's why that attachment was perfectly right. So similarly, the dham is also, Vrindavan dham is very important to the devotees. And the devotees, they do not want to see Krishna outside of Vrindavan. See, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood also was the same. When he went to Jagannath Puri, he was trying to see Krishna in Vrindavan. So although he was seeing Jagannath, he was not seeing the Jagannath, actually, the form of Jagannath that we see in the temple. He was seeing the Shamsundar form of Krishna. So as long as he was not seeing the Shamsundar form of Krishna, he was feeling a lot of separation because that Jagannath form reminded him of the Shamsundar form of Krishna. So, but and Jagannath is actually a very special form of the Lord. One can question that why the Lord only selected Jagannath Puri as his pastime place in the last 18 years that he spent there, right? Why did he select that particular place? The reason is also because Jagannath form is the only form of the Lord which is the Mahabhav expansion of Krishna's Vraj form. Mahabhav expansion of Krishna's Vraj form in the sense that it is Mathura and Dwarka Krishna who are feeling separation from the Vrajavasis, and they are manifesting this particular sentiment and form. So it is it's a very close form connected to the Vrindavan form. It is a very attractive form that can immediately connect one with the Vrindavan form of the Lord. So Jagannath is a special Mahabhav form of Krishna who is residing in Mathura in separation. Vipralambha, see, that's why it is called the Vipralambha Kshetra. Jagannath Puri, the Vipralambha Kshetra, Vrindavan Madhurya Kshetra, and Mayapur Navdeep is Audarya Kshetra. So which is Madhurya plus Audarya, like that. Okay. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always wanted to see Jagannath like that. And similarly, we being followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we also would like to see Jagannath in that form. Otherwise, there was no significance of Jagannath for ISKCON devotees or Gaudiya Vaishnava devotees. It is only because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's revelation of the form of Jagannath and the special position of Jagannath Puri Dham. So it is considered to be Vipralambha Kshetra, and especially union in separation, because although there is separation, but then finally Mahaprabhu sees Krishna also, the Shamsundar form of Krishna. He does experience the pastimes of Krishna in Jagannath Puri also. So that's why it is union in separation. So it is like, when the Vrajavasis, they go to Kurukshetra, so they are seeing Krishna, their own relative, but they are unable to relate with him. So that's why union in separation. Union is there, externally union is there, but internally there is separation because they cannot connect with Krishna in his princely form, in his Aishwarya form, in the Kshatriya form, right? With all the ornaments and armors and everything. So they are unable to relate completely. So this is how we are supposed to see Jagannath Puri Dham. Okay. Okay, so now coming to the main topic, which is Krishna's return to Vrindavan. So whether Krishna returns to Vrindavan or not. So see, in Laghu Bhagavatamrit, Rupa Goswami mentions a very important point. He says that although Krishna eternally lives in Vrindavan, which is absolutely right, But then the question is that if he's always living in Vrindavan, then how can he make the Vrajavasis feel separation from him? So Rupa Goswami, so he says that after Krishna's departure for Mathura and for Mathura, then later on he sends, so you remember this pastime of Uddhav. So Krishna is sending Uddhav as a messenger to pacify the Vrajavasis, right? And Uddhav returns back and he also conveys the message to Krishna. So, but then Uddhav stays there for almost 6 months, I believe, and he's getting the association of the Vrajavasis. So now, what Rupa Goswami says is, and he quotes also from the Shastra, and he says that for the separation from Krishna, that the Vrajavasis experience was only for 3 months, till the time Uddhav went to Vrindavan. The moment Uddhav reached the border of Vrindavan, from that point of time, there was no separation. Okay, so what he says is that for 3 months, the Vrajavasis, they were feeling separation from Krishna. Now, how do we reconcile that Krishna is also eternally present? So he says that actually they were separated, but in that separation also they saw Krishna. Okay, now seeing Krishna means there are different categories of seeing Krishna. So he has given 3 categories of seeing the Lord, which is special appearance. Now this special appearance is called as visphurti. So you have, you can remember the Lord, you can see his form. And now you'd see, just imagine one thing. If you love your beloved so much, then you want to think of him very frequently because you miss and love that person so dearly. What to speak of the Lord, right? The scriptures and the devotees of the Lord, they describe the Lord so beautifully. And if the Lord is constantly associating with you, then how can you forget the Lord, right? So when Krishna is living, so after that, it is obvious that the Vrajavasis will start remembering and they will start thinking of Krishna, and it will be like a 24-hour thing for them because he's so dear, he's so attractive, everything is like perfect about him. So how can you not miss such a person, right? So for them, it is not so difficult to remember Krishna. So that is basically visphurti of the Lord. So Krishna is appearing in a special way, in the form of spurti, so in the form of remembrance, in the form of memory. Okay, so that way Krishna is appearing to their to them personally. So after 3 months, till 3 months, Krishna is present in the form of visphurti, and after that, Krishna is sending Uddhava. Okay, so now see, it is very interesting. And I would like to share this verse from the Bhagavatam. This is also a very hidden mystery, which devotees generally will not be able to understand unless and until they again understand through the eyes of the acharyas.
लेकिन फिर भी मैंने एक एप्पल खाया था, एक एप्पल और
Okay, so let's go to verse number 10.46.9 to 13. Okay, so it's a long verse. Let's just skip the translation and everything. And let's skip the shloka and just go to the translation. 10th canto, 46th chapter, verse 9 to 13. This is Uddhava visiting Vrindavan. Okay, so what now? See, Uddhav is just reaching Vrindavan right at the time of sunset. So what does he see? So this is what is described in this verse. So Gokul resounded on all sides with the sounds of bulls in rut fighting with one another, or fertile cows, with the mooing of cows burdened by their udders, chasing after their calves, with the noise of milking and of the white calves jumping here and there, with the loud reverberation of flute playing, and with the singing of the all auspicious deeds of Krishna and Balaram, by the cowherd men and women, who made the village resplendent with their wonderfully ornamented attire, The cowards' homes in Gokul appeared most charming with their abundant paraphernalia. For worship of the sacrificial fire, the sun, unexpected guests, the cows, the brahmanas, forefathers, and demigods. And on all sides lay the flowering forest, echoing with flocks of birds and swans, of bees, and beautified by its lakes crowded with swans, karandava ducks, and bowers of lotuses. Right? So see, what can you understand from this particular verse? One thing we can understand is that it is a very blissful image of Vrindavan, very happy one. It is not a sad image. So Uddhav is not seeing the Vrajavasis in separation from Krishna, because we also hear symptoms of Vrajavasis when they are not with Krishna. So they wither, their bodies are withering, and they are very weak. They do not eat for many days and years, and they, everything is like just everything goes away, deteriorates. The entire body deteriorates like anything when Krishna is not there, because they do not take care of themselves, and they are completely in lamentation from separation from Krishna. So it is not possible that this image that Uddhav saw will be that of a Vrajavasi who is very happy from separation from Krishna. It is not possible. That's why our acharyas, they say that actually Uddhav saw one aspect of Vrindavan, one manifestation of Vrindavan when he entered. Right? So what did he see? He actually, so basically our acharyas explain that there are two divisions of Vrindavan. One is aprakat and one is prakat. So in aprakat form, now when we talk about aprakat, we are not talking about aprakat only for Krishna, but we are talking aprakat for the Vrajavasis also. And the another aspect which is prakat. So prakat is that where Krishna has physically departed for Vrindavan and Mathura, and now he is not present in Vrindavan in his physical form. Whereas aprakat means they all have disappeared. They are all present. Only the Nitya Siddhas can see all of them. So Uddhav is seeing one division of Vrindavan, one aspect of Vrindavan, which is blissful, and that is aprakat. And he's also experiencing, now later on, see, there are some verses where Nand Maharaj, when he meets Nand Maharaj, so Nand Maharaj is lamenting. So how is it possible now, just some time ago they were so blissful, and now suddenly they have like big, they're lamenting, and they are feeling so sad, and they are feeling separation from Krishna. So how is it possible? So acharyas, they say that Uddhav is seeing two divisions of the dham. One is aprakat and one is prakat dham. So at one point of time, he's seeing the aprakat manifestation where everyone is blissful because Krishna is present. And then later on, after some time, that aprakat is the aprakat become aprakat in eyes of Uddhava in front of him. So the prakat will manifest. The prakat lila will manifest to him. So aprakat will become aprakat, which means that the aprakat form aspect will disappear after some time, and the prakat aspect will be manifested to Uddhava. So then we can see that he is lamenting. Right? So see, this is not so easy to understand. Like, it's because Krishna's lila, they are all inconceivable, achintya. And all these pastimes, they keep happening. And that's why we cannot estimate what is going to happen in the Lord's pastimes. So there are many contradictions in his pastimes, but it is resolved very nicely by the acharyas, because the scriptures are actually giving hints, and the acharyas, they are revealing the meaning of the scriptures, and obviously they are also witnessing it directly. So Uddhav, again, now when he's meeting the gopis, that time it is the prakat form where the gopis are lamenting, and that's how we have the bumblebee, the song of the bumblebee with Srimati Radharani, right? So she's also lamenting, and then she's expressing her Mahabhav symptoms. So, but at the same time, when he leaves for Mathura, so again, later on, he sees the blissful image of Vraj. Okay, so now what is happening? So Rupa Goswami is saying that for 3 months, Krishna is present in visphurti form. Okay, which is basically remembrance kind of a form. And but obviously it is very deep, very intense. So it is a special appearance of the Lord. And then after 3 months, just before Uddhav is entering Vrindavan, Krishna is present with them in his aprakat form. So Krishna is definitely present with all the Vrajavasis in his aprakat form. So basically, there is also separation and there is no separation. And Krishna is in Mathura Dwarka, but eternally present in Vrindavan also. So all things are reconciled by our acharyas. Okay. So 3 months and then later on. Now see, the question is, okay, so Krishna is present with the Vrajavasis in aprakat form. So then the question is that, does Krishna also return back in prakat form? Because in prakat form, currently he is in Mathura, right? So later on, does he also meet the Vrajavasis in his prakat form? So Rup Goswami states, yes, and then he quotes Padma Puran. And the Padma Puran says that Krishna killed Dantavakra on the outskirts of Mathura, especially the border of Mathura. So he was waiting for that opportunity because he was not getting permission from his relatives to go to Vrindavan. And because they knew that if he goes, then he's not going to come back forever. So he was waiting for the opportune moment where he could somehow get an entry to Vrindavan. So the moment he heard that Dantavakra is in Mathura, he took the chance and then he went there and then he killed Dantavakra. And because that place happened near Mathura, it is, so there is a Daita or something like that. That place is called in Mathura, in Vraja. I don't remember exactly the name, but there is also a place. And you can also hear from the local Vrajavasis that this is the place where Krishna killed Dantavakra. Although he was in Dwarka, all the way he came to Mathura to kill him. So what happened? So after killing Dantavakra, Krishna entered in Vrindavan. He crossed the Yamuna and then he entered Gokul, and then from Gokul he went to Vrindavan. So like that. So in his prakat form. So now prakat means that anyone is able to see Krishna physically going from Dwarka to Mathura to Vrindavan. Okay. So he did enter Vrindavan and then he pacified all the Vrajavasis. Right. So these are the 3 manifestations. So one is visphurti, which is special appearance, then aprakat, which is sudden appearance of the Lord, and then after killing Dantavakra, it is called return prakat appearance of the Lord. Okay, so these are the 3 different ways Krishna actually appeared in Vrindavan, and he did return in Vrindavan because he had promised Nanda Maharaj, he had promised Uddhava, and he had also promised the Vrajavasis. So there was no question of Krishna not fulfilling his promise, because Krishna's nature is that he can go to any extent to fulfill his promise. And what to speak of if he is conveying his promise through his devotee. So that's why he told Arjuna, Name Bhakta Pranashyati. So Arjuna, you declare boldly that my devotees will never perish. So he did not declare it boldly because he wanted to make everyone know that if I give promise, I may break it. Like for example, he took a vow to never pick up any weapon in the war, right? But Bhishma Pitama, being a pure devotee of the Lord, he forcefully made him break his vow. And Krishna very happily, ecstatically actually agreed to do that. So only a devotee can actually really protect whatever a devotee says. I mean, Krishna will really protect that 100%. So that's why he made Arjuna declare that. And so similarly, he made Uddhava declare to the Vrajavasis that he will return back. And in order to fulfill his promise, he did return. So see, now coming back to the verse that we read, 1:11:9. Now I would again share that on screen. Because there is some mystery there. Okay, so we have already read the verse and the purport also. And see the translation O Lotus Lord, whenever you go away to Mathura, Vrindavan or Hastinapur to meet your friends and relatives, every moment of your absence seems like millions of years. O infallible one, at that time our eyes becomes useless as if bereft of sun. So this is the verse that Rupa Goswami is quoting as Praman from the Bhagavatam. And then the another verse that Bhagavatam from the Bhagavatam is the one where Uddhav is seeing the blissful form of the Vrajavasis. Okay. So these are the two evidences indicating Krishna's return to Vrindavan. Okay, now very interesting thing is that here you see the second line. It is mentioned Kurun Madhun Vatha. So see, Kuru means we know Hastinapur, the descendants of King Kuru, right? That we know. But Madhun, generally Madhun refers to Madhuvan. It is referred to Mathura. But how is it possible that it is referred to Mathura? Because this verse is spoken by the Dwarkavasis when Krishna is returning to Dwarka. He has some purpose, he has some business in other cities, he goes there and then he returns back to Dwarka. So this is a verse which is recited by the Dwarkavasis to Krishna. Now, if it is Madhun, if it is referred to as Mathura, this is not possible because already the Mathura Vasis, they have been shifted to Dwarka, right? So there is no one in Mathura. At the same time, we also know that Krishna is eternally present in Mathura and Dwarka. So in Mathura, Krishna has become aprakat. So Krishna is eternally present in Mathura with his aprakat pastimes and with his aprakat devotees. Okay. So, but we are not talking about the aprakat manifestation of Krishna in Mathura. Here we are seeing the prakat form. So here, when the Dwarkavasis, they are seeing that Krishna is leaving Dwarka and he's going to Hastinapur and he's going to Madhu. So that Madhu is actually referring to Vrindavan, because Mathura district also includes Vrindavan. So this is what our acharyas point out. It's not possible it can be Mathura because Mathura Vasis have already been transferred to Dwarka. Right? So this is the significance of this particular verse. One of the most important pramans from the Bhagavatam. Okay. So now see, so one of the scripture which is Garg Samhita, and it is narrating a kind, bit different event. And Garg Samhita 5th canto, 19th chapter describes entire chapter. It is basically a description of Krishna's return to Vrindavan. And when does Krishna return? So here they have described Krishna's prakat return to Vrindavan. And when does he return? So when Krishna is sending Uddhava is associating with Vrajavasis, and then Uddhava going back to Mathura, and then he relates to Krishna everything that he experienced in Vraj. So after hearing Uddhava, Krishna becomes very ecstatic and immediately decides to go to Vrindavan to meet them. So then he orders Uddhava to prepare a chariot, and then he asks him to accompany him, and they both go to Vrindavan. So that happens in prakat form. So Garg Samhita is also narrating Krishna's return to Vrindavan, but maybe you can say, there is a difference of kalpa bhed. So maybe in some kalpa, the return is like this, and some other kalpa. Although the acharyas, they don't generally quote the Garg Samhita. Generally, they are quoting mostly from the Bhagavatam, from the Puranas, from the Upanishads. So Garg Samhita is rarely quoted by the acharyas, but it is described in the Garg Samhita also. And some say that Krishna actually returned back to his aprakat form right after killing Kamsa in Mathura, and he went along with Nand Maharaj in his aprakat form. So there are differences, but those can be reconciled by saying that it may happen in different kalpas, or maybe even if it's all these things are in the same thing, but it can be classified into different categories of appearances. So which the way Rupa Goswami has explained. Yeah. Okay. Okay, one interesting thing I would like to share is that what happened to the Vrajavasis, because we don't hear about them. We hear about the Yaduvasis, right? The Yadavas, see, another very important, and maybe I would like to take this topic next time about the disappearance of Krishna and the Yadu dynasty, because it's extremely important for devotees to understand why this kind of Leela happened. The Mosa Leela of Krishna in with his associates of Dwarka. So Krishna disappeared with the Yadus in a very ghastly way. Okay. And so maybe I'm thinking, because there are many points in that. So I would like to share that class. I would like to share in the class, and we can next time maybe we can have that topic. But see, the point is now, why did Sukadev Goswami did not clearly indicate in the Bhagavatam itself that Krishna did return to Vrindavan? This particular pastime of Krishna returning to Vrindavan is actually given in Padma Puran. It is not given in Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam is such an important scripture. Then why did Sukadev Goswami did not feel to actually share this pastime? Because this is such a joyful pastime, right? I mean, Krishna returning to Vrindavan is such a joyful occasion. So what happened is, Sukadev Goswami, he felt that because he is residing to Parikshit Maharaj, and Parikshit Maharaj he had a very close affinity towards Krishna and to the Yadavas, right? So if Sukadev Goswami would have recited the joyful pastime of Krishna, and I will share that what happened to the Vrajavasis, unlike the Yaduvasis. So if Parikshit Maharaj would have heard from Sukadev Goswami that Krishna took all the Vrajavasis back to Goloka, but his own Yadavas, it was a very ghastly act, and there was a war amongst them. So why this kind of unfairness in this pastime? So feeling that kind of sentiment in Parikshit Maharaj, Sukadev Goswami did not feel appropriate to share this particular pastime, Krishna of Krishna returning to Vrindavan. Okay. Now, what happened to the Vrajavasis? So see, again, this also requires the understanding the concept of prakat and aprakat. So as I said that Krishna he entered Vrindavan from Mathura, right? After killing the Dwarka. So this is in his prakat form. Later on, what happened? Krishna stayed there for 3 months. And then after 3 months, he took away. Now see, whenever Krishna appears, all the amshas of Krishna also, they merge in Krishna. And similarly, the demigods, they all also assemble. And they participate in the pastimes of Krishna, right? So there are eternal associates of Krishna like Nand Maharaj, Yashoda Maya, Vasudev, Devki. So they are eternal associates. But we also hear from the Srimad Bhagavatam that Drona and Dhara, they did some tapasya, austerities for a long time, and then they pleased Brahma. And then Brahma gave him the benediction that you will become the father and mother of Krishna, right? See, it is not possible anyone can become father and mother of Krishna, because it is also stated in the Bhagavatam that Krishna is eternally the son of a Gopika, which is basically Yashoda Maya. She is a Gopi. So no one can take that position. So it is explained by our acharyas that Drona and Dhara, they were actually amshas of Nanda and Yashoda, which means that when Yashoda and Nanda, they come to this world, when Krishna appears in this world, so Drona and Dhara from the previous life, when they had performed austerity, they become Nanda and Yashoda, which means that they merge in the body of Nanda and Yashoda. And then after the pastimes of Krishna are over in this material world, these portions, they separate and they go back to, so if they are demigods, they go back to demigod loka, Swarg loka. And if they are eternal, like if they are pure devotees, if they have become pure devotees, then they go back to Vaikuntha. So Krishna sent Drona and Dhara to Vaikuntha. Okay. And Nanda and Yashoda, they are eternal Krishna's parents. So they went to Vrindavan. Okay. Now, this Vaikuntha basically can refer to Golok Vrindavan also, which is because Vrindavan also has divisions. It has got Aishwarya Golok. So Aishwarya Golok, a place where the Lord is worshipped in Aishwarya. Wow. And it is possible that they can also go to Vrindavan. That is not clear, but it is mentioned by Rupa Goswami that Drona and Dhara, they actually, Krishna sent them to Vaikuntha or Golok Vrindavan, something like that. So, yeah, so what happened is, when Krishna entered Vrindavan, he took away all the demigod portion he took them back to Godhead. He took them to Golok Vrindavan. Okay. So whatever amshas were there, whatever demigods they had merged inside the body of the eternal associate of the Lord, he took them all to Golok Vrindavan. And the original forms of the Vrajavasis, they all disappeared. They became aprakat. Krishna also became aprakat. So see, this is one form. Krishna took them all away to Golok Vrindavan. Second form, in his aprakat form, Krishna eternally is always there in Vrindavan. So in eternal is aprakat form, he is performing pastimes. So so basically what happened to the Vrajavasis? They all disappeared. Okay. And in the third form, in his prakat form, Krishna left Vrindavan and then went back to Dwarka. So this is described in Padma Purana. Okay. And Rupa Goswami states that because this pastime is not described in the Bhagavatam directly, so the Padma Purana should be accepted as true by all the Vaishnavas, because, and that's why in the Vaishnava Toshani by Srila Sanatana Goswami, his commentary on the 10th canto, so he gives the following sequential list of pastimes. So first was the journey on the occasion of solar eclipse, then the Rajasuya assembly, then the gambling match, and the attempted disturbing of Draupadi, then the Pandavas' exile to the forest, then the killing of Salva and Dandvagra, then Krishna's visit to Vrindavan and his winding up of the Vrindavan pastimes. This is also quoted by Srila Vishwanath Thakur on his commentary to 10 canto 78 chapter and 16th verse. Okay, so quoting Padma Puran, so this has to be accepted by all because there is no mention, direct mention of Krishna's winding up the pastimes of Vrindavan. It's only given in Padma Puran. Okay, so yeah, with this, I conclude today's topic. And now, if devotees they have any questions or comments, please feel free to share.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Vandana Pranam to you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Prabhuji almost took us to Vrindavan only. Such beautiful pastimes, like you narrated. Very nice. Yeah, and the most fascinating is the Jagannath pastime, right? I was also thinking when you were saying about Jagannath, no? So like the place name is also Jagannath. He's the Nath of the whole Jagat. And the deity's name is also Jagannath. Jagannath Puri. It's all like, connected together. And we always, when you go to Rath Yatra, we follow that bhav that we are taking Krishna back to Vrindavan, right? That's the bhav we go from the Rath Yatra.
Yeah. So, I mean, we in the sense that we are trying to assist Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to bring, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the main instrument who is bringing Krishna to Vrindavan, and we are assisting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the bhava of a Gaudiya Vaishnava.
Yes, yes. Although materially it might seem like one of my friend was saying, you had a Rath Yatra in so-and-so beach. In Florida, we have a lot of Rath Yatras actually. So, in that you're taking the cart from one place to the other and then you're coming back, So generally, I said, because it's like, Krishna was in Vrindavan. Actually, Krishna is always in Vrindavan, but then they take him, then he goes away and then we bring him back, So, like you said, the acharyas have a internal meaning. We have to understand that. For us, we might think spiritually, people might ask this question very materially, but there is more bhav to it. And the best part is the Rath Yatra has been going on for so many years, So Prabhuji, like they say that Srila Prabhupada was instrumental in having, because everybody could not take darshan of Jagannath Ji. So he was instrumental in having Rath Yatras. He started in America, right? But what about the Rath Yatra, which is in Puri? Was that also Srila Prabhupada was instrumental, or how did that kind of, where there's like a wave, like a whole river of people walking, and especially after now we've got over COVID time. So, there were so many people. It was really scary. And I heard that best part is that they there's never any injury or anything also, a life-threatened situation, because the pandas, they are there who make sure that nothing is coming in the front for couple of meters ahead. Is that true, what I'm saying?
So I didn't understand what you're saying of Srila Prabhupada in
Yeah,
context of
how did the Rath, because see, at one point, one person can look at this, that in Puri, only Indian body people can go, right? Inside the temple, they don't allow the other, right? But at the same time, in there is a Rath, like my knowledge is not very vast, but the Rath Yatra that happens is in Puri, right? Jagannath Puri?
Yeah.
Okay. So how come then the government there allowed the Jagannath ji to come out and everybody could take darshan that time? If they were so strict that nobody would, it doesn't seem a little contradictory. And also, is there a hand of Srila Prabhupada in this also, the Rath Yatra which happens in India?
No. So Rath Yatra happening since a long time. Actually, so see, just because they are not allowing non-Hindus to enter the temple, that's why once in a year they are allowing Lord Jagannath himself to come on the street, so that everyone can take their darshan. So this tradition is going on since time immemorial. It is not something connected to ISKCON or Prabhupada. This has been, in fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime, you see, there was Rath Yatra also, right? Especially devotees used to, the Chaturmasya, they visited Puri from Bengal. And Mahaprabhu expected them to come and meet them and participate in the Rath Yatra festival. So Rath Yatra is, in fact, I will tell you something very interesting. Jagannath is not even, see, although we say that it is Krishna, Balaram and Subhadra, right? But look at the time when they appeared. They appeared in Swayambhu's Manu time. What is this current Manu? Vaivast Manu, 7th Manvantar, and this is 1st Manvantar. So Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, they are eternally there. In fact, Krishna and Arjuna also, they went and took darshan of Lord Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. I think it's described in Mahabharata or some other scripture. So how do you reconcile that? Because Krishna has not even, like, in one form Krishna is eternally there, and in another form Krishna has just appeared in Dwapar Yuga. So how do you understand that? But we know that all these forms of the Lord, they are all eternal. So the appearance of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, it days back to Swayambhuva Manu's time. So this is the difference. So all this Rath Yatra and everything, I think it may have happened in the previous Manvantars also. Not just this particular Vaivast Manvantar, but probably, I mean, I am not 100% sure about that, about the Rath Yatra thing, but it is possible it may have happened in the past. And regarding, you see, there are many devotees who have died because of stampede during the Rath Yatra procession. So it is not that, and many have got injured. Thousands have got injured. Every year, many people get injured also, and some of them die also. So obviously, it's always auspicious in Jagannath Puri, and that also during Rath Yatra time, and especially coming in contact with the cart of the Rath. So that is extremely auspicious. But yeah, this is a fact actually. Many devotees also, they have got injured. It's very risky, especially for Mathura, is very, very risky. For us also, like, it is not so easy. I mean, whenever I've gone to Jagannath Puri during Rath Yatra time, I have pulled the Raths. So I know it is extremely difficult. It is not so easy. It's like a big risk you are taking with your life. Unless and until, like, you have to be very careful. Like, otherwise it is a risk actually.
So Prabhuji, the deities at Jagannath Puri temple, those are the deities they take out?
Yeah.
Oh.
The actual deities, yeah.
And I've not been there actually. So I was inquisitive, and they're really big deities. They need a lot of people to lift it, right?
Yeah. I don't know, like, I'm not sure. Have you seen the Rath Yatra on live also, like, or on television also? they are showing the entire thing, right from taking out Lord Jagannath from his temple and somehow placing him on the chariot. So there is a particular time when Jagannath, when he's going from, he's leaving from the temple and then he's on the way to his chariot. So Jagannath is like shaking a lot, and that is called Pahandi. And that Pahandi is also, there's a particular pastime. I mean, our Gaudiya Acharyas, they explain that when Krishna went to Vrindavan, so he was also shaking because of ecstasy. So that's why Jagannath also shaking. So that's another internal reason why that Jagannath is like Baldev, Subhadra, they are all like kind of dancing, shaking and all. Because they are very happy, they are very ecstatic. So they are like in a very intoxicated condition. So when you are intoxicated, then you start shaking and trembling and all that, like that.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class and to hear about Lord in the morning. For us, it's morning time, so we start our day with such a nice katha. And please, you can take up the topic, Prabhuji, next month. And Prabhuji always takes the Ekadashi day, which is auspicious. Happy Ekadashi to everyone. So
yeah, generally I try to, because at least I know on Ekadashis I don't prefer to travel. So that's why I select Ekadashi days.
Yeah, just like they say that many things one should not do on Ekadashi, it's a Hari Bhagwan.
No, nothing like that. I mean, it's just that I don't travel outside. Like I don't want to, I want to spend time in the house. I prefer to spend time in the house. But if there is some service or there is anything other, then, like if something is important, I do travel. I don't like especially follow this particular thing that in Ekadashi one should not travel, or no, nothing like that. It's just that because and another thing is we also run the risk of eating something something of a grain product. So that is also something like risky. When we go outside, maybe by mistake we could eat something. I mean, normally even if we go to temple, then if we don't remember, then we may by mistake take some grain prasadam in the temple also.
But generally in India, temples have Ekadasi prasadam, right?
No, I don't think so. I mean, ISKCON also you'll see, because there is Govindas, that's why we are getting it. But Govindas is not everywhere.
Yeah. But mostly I remember, like I had come to Delhi temple. So there they used to have a line of Khichdi prasadam at the Radha Parthasarthi temple. But what happened?
You're talking about India, ISKCON temples, see.
Yes.
But in general, now see another, I don't know if you know this, but in Jagannath Puri, no one is following Ekadashi. And in fact, they have got a concession of eating fish also. So the Puri residents, they eat fish also, and it is considered vegetarian.
Okay.
Yeah, and even in Vallabh Sampradaya, I think in Nathdwara temple, I don't remember if they are also observing Ekadashi. And similarly in the Ramanuja Sampradaya also, some Sampradaya, they do not observe Ekadashi. In Vraja also, I think many of them do not follow Ekadashi. Like they are eating regular prasadam.
Also, Prabhuji, like talking about prasadam, like if our temple has, or our deities at home are Gauranatai deities, so like Krishna came in the form of the devotee, right? So then we can offer the deities at home, or even when we have to offer bhoga to the deities in the temple, like the Ekadashi only, right? But to other forms, we can offer grain prasadam. Is that true?
No. I mean, there is a pastime in Chaitanya Charitamrita where or maybe Chaitanya Bhagavat, where it was Ekadashi day and Nimai was very hungry. He was like, so he went to the house of Jagdish and Hiranya Pandit, and they had offered to the Lord all the grain prasadam. And Nimai went there and then he just took everything and he ate. So there is a pastime like that. And so even with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, I think regular prasadam could be offered. There are two aspects of worshipping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One is you see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly as Krishna. And another is that you see as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a devotee. So both are right. In ISKCON temple, the standard Prabhupada has given, we see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Krishna. That's why you see we also offer tulsi leaves to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right?
Yes.
And we also put a peacock feather on his head, so that people can understand that he's Krishna directly. Because we also want to reveal the identity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to everyone who is coming to temple. So, according to Prabhupada's standard, we have to worship Mahaprabhu as Krishna and Nityananda as Balram. We are not worshipping them as devotees of Krishna. Although it is true, in fact, for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we would want to worship Mahaprabhu as a devotee. Okay, so because we are more attached to Radharani. So that's how we are trying to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as, and similarly, the same thing also was manifested in Jagannath Puri. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expressed sentiments of Radharani and Jagannath expressed sentiments of Krishna. So that's how the union happened. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is basically Radha Bhav. And for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Radharani is more important.
Yes, Prabhuji.
But
Thank you.
Just to reveal the identity of Krishna.
Yeah, so basically we can offer both grain, because we often hear, right, that Krishna doesn't need to fast. We need to fast.
Yeah. So see, we are not offering to the Lord thinking that, oh, he also has to fast. You see, the problem is that if you are making a bhoga in your house, and after offering the bhoga, if it is wasted, if next day you are unable to consume that, or you don't have so much time, because see, we have so many things to do. Like we have work, we are not full-time devotees. So along with work, along with our business, job and everything else, if we are cooking, then maybe it is possible we'll not be able to cook both the bhogas together, the Ekadashi and non-Ekadashi. So, I mean, whatever we are cooking, we are offering to the Lord, and we are not thinking that he is also supposed to fast. If you have time, and if you can consume the bhoga next day, then you make non-Ekadashi prasad also, regular prasad. You can offer to the Lord. But it should be consumed also. It should not be wasted. It should not be thrown away. Right? And you should have the time also to do all that. So, because our main process is Nam Sankirtan. So, most important is Nam Sankirtan preaching.
Yeah. Yes,
These two things are most important for ISKCON devotees.
When you were mentioning about
worship is like, assisting these activities.
Yeah.
So there may be some other services also. See, if you are spending a lot of time in deity worship, then you may not be able to do some preaching activity. So this is how we actually have to manage the services.
But I had heard from some devotees, like you mentioned, like some people will not travel, or other they will ladies don't cut the hair, or beard nahi cut. So it's a good thing to hear this, because then you kind of concentrate on chanting, reading, doing more rounds.
Yeah. See, the purpose of doing all these austerities or taking some vows, not do this, not do that, ultimately, as Rupa Goswami says, that everything is related to remembrance of Krishna. All the rules and regulations are to make us remember Krishna and never forget him. So if you are only doing that, but if you are not remembering Krishna, then your main purpose is not achieved by that.
Yes.
Instead of that, if you are doing Shravanam, Kirtanam, and you are doing Smaranam, right, then it's a direct activity. So even though you may not do other things, but this is what is most important. That should not be forgotten. So in the association of devotees, to glorify the Lord, to preach, these are all the most important activities. Nam Sankirtan. So discussing about the pastimes of the Lord. These are the main activities.
Yeah.
And these other things, they are just, these are not directly devotional limbs. Taking a vow, do some austerity, renunciation, these are not limbs of bhakti. These are meant to assist bhakti. So the idea is that if you fast, if you are fasting and you are only thinking about food, and you are only thinking when the day will get over, so that I can break my fast the next day, your purpose has not achieved. So that's why you can take it as a normal day also, but intensify your bhajan, especially your Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam.
Yeah, Prabhuji, you mentioned that some of the people in Jagannath Puri also consume fish. I was amazed that, like in a dham like that, and they're thinking of it as vegetarian, which is not. So, we are so thankful to Srila Prabhupada that he's given us this movement where, we take the vow where we say no fish, egg, and meat, egg, all of them are mentioned in our time when we take initiation, or, even if person is starting to follow the regulative principles, because, our mind can be fish-like. If we start, fish is so restless, and like those qualities can come in us when we consume that particular jaisa an vaisa man. So
okay, yeah, I mean in general that is true for ordinary people, ordinary sadhakas. But see, the dhamvasis, they are also special.
yeah,
So we cannot really, exactly make a judgment about that, especially for the dhamvasis. In Vrindavan also the same scenario is there. The dhamvasis are very special. So apparently externally it may seem that they are doing, like for example, the dhamvasis, they are also smoking bees, and they are also eating pan, and they are also doing certain sinful activities. But internally their level is very high. So this is sanctioned for the particular dhamvasis, and I think there is a particular pastime behind this. I don't recollect, but the reason why fish is considered to be, vegetarian, and it is sanctioned for the general public or the dhamvasis to eat is the particular pastime is there in connection with that. So before that, I think no one was eating fish, but later on, I think there was a. So if I get that pastime, I will share.
yes, Prabhuji.
So another thing is that when the Lord is sanctioning something, we don't even have to bother about that. See, because our goal is we are Krishnatarians. We are not even vegetarians. That also Prabhupada mentioned many times.
Prasaditarian.
And Prabhupada also said that if needed, and he quoted Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he said, if needed, you go in a desert to preach, and there is nothing available for you to eat, then you can eat animals also. You can eat meat also there for the purpose of preaching, for a higher purpose. So this is to establish that we are Krishnatarians. We are not even vegetarians. Our emphasis is, okay, vegetarian as far as it is connected to Krishna consciousness. But if Krishna is directly asking us to eat something which is non-vegetarian, that becomes vegetarian for us. Because ultimately he's the one who is going to give the reward and reaction for the activity, right? In fact, I will also, there is one particular shloka which I have quoted in my book, and it is mentioned that if you do not please Krishna, then the healthiest food can become poisonous, and the poisonous food can become nectar.
Prabhuji, can you repeat that one more time? If you something, what did you say?
If you do not please Krishna, then the healthiest food can become poison.
Oh, okay.
And the poisonous food can become nectar for him.
Yeah, this reminds me of Katha where, Krishna was asked to go to Duryodhana, and I always forget the name of the Mataji who gave chilka, and she gave with love. So he accepted those chilkas of the banana.
Yeah, Vidura's house.
Yeah, Vidura's wife. But then Duryodhana, he was like, not interested to go and have the big thali there. So yeah, the love aspect comes in here. Love aspect, serving, and so Krishna is pleased by that. All these wonderful qualities of love, humbleness, empathy. There's so many words we can add. When that come in the picture, then Krishna is happy. Otherwise, definitely. And like we say, when we are cooking for Krishna, we should put on some kirtan or class or Prabhupada's lecture. Because what happened that when we are cooking, our consciousness will, even if it is wandering here and there, of thinking of 10 things, then with that kirtan vibration, we can, it goes into the, food we are cooking. So that's good when we do the offering.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay.
This is like Krishna consciousness so much on the, this subtle platform, where if you tell people, they don't understand it, like what consciousness, what, cooking, they will eat what they want. One person was mentioning that, it's like, you become like a small child. A child when starts crawling, he'll pick up anything and put in the mouth. So any person who's not offering to Krishna, it's like the small baby crawling, anything they get, they will just take it and put in the mouth. And we see that. So our, like acharyas and disciples, they give such wonderful examples, like, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Like, I took so much time, but I'm sure if anybody has any question, comments, and Prabhuji, please note the topics that you are saying and the questions you have to answer. So that way it can happen in the next class. And also sometimes, Prabhuji, the Ekadashi date is different for India and USA,
Yeah.
but then you can pick up the Ekadashi date of India, right? Because you're there.
Yeah. So I think most of the devotees, they have left. Yeah. But yeah, I was not sure if they had any questions. So next time we can ask them also.
Sorry for taking so much time, but we can end the call. Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhu eva cha.
Yeah, thank you so much, all the devotees, for joining.
Prabhuji, please
Yeah.
share the recording with me so I can share with the group.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Very well.